Welcome back, Science 10. We're going to look at the last assignment in the CR2 section, and it deals with balancing equations. So I'll kind of go through the method here that I like to use, and it makes a lot of sense. It helps you keep track of what elements and compounds you have on either side of the equation. It also helps uphold the law of conservation of mass, illustrating that whatever elements and compounds you start with, you have the same number after. The only difference here is that it's a chemical reaction and things are just rearranged. So the easiest thing to do, you'll notice on the sheet I left a lot of room for each of these. So balancing just simply means making sure you have the same number of each type of atom on both sides of the equation. So what we're going to do here is simply keep track of all of the atoms on each side of the equation. So I'm just going to set this up here quickly. So if you notice here, on the left-hand side we have Na and oxygen, and on the right-hand side we have Na and oxygen. Okay. So the next thing is to figure out how many of each you have here. So if you take a look here, of course I have one sodium and I have two oxygens. One sodium and then two O's. On the right-hand side, I have two sodiums and one oxygen. So of course you can see here that something's wrong here. I can't magically turn one sodium into two. So this means that I must have more than one sodium on the left-hand side. So basically to work this, we take a look, okay, I need to have two sodiums here. Now I'm not allowed to change the compound, so I just can't put a little number 2 down here. That's violating what sodium actually is, but you are certainly allowed to change how many sodiums you have. So if I put a 2 in front of there, I'll have 2 sets of sodiums. So if I do that, and once again, with balancing equations, you're only allowed to put numbers in front. You're only allowed to use coefficients. So of course what happens here is that, oh, I no longer have one sodium, I have 2 sodiums. Okay? So I'm getting closer here. 2 sodiums, 2 sodiums. If I look at oxygen, I have 2 on the left and 1 on the right, so I have a problem there. And again, I can't simply write a number 2 down here after the O because that's changing what sodium oxide is. But of course, what you are allowed to do is put a coefficient in front. Have 2 groups of sodium oxide. So if I do that, you can see I'll have 2 oxygens now. And oh darn it, I'm going to have not 2 sodiums now. I'm going to have, let's see, 2 sets of 2, 2 times 2, 4 sodiums. And that's okay, because we can always go back and change the sodium over here. So we have to. We can't increase the number of oxygens without increasing the number of sodiums in this compound here. It's just how it works. So of course over here, I'm going to have to change this now. So instead of having 2 sodiums there, I'm going to have to change that to, well, I need to have 4. So if I change that 2 to a 4, cross this out, you don't have to erase these. It's actually beneficial to show all the numbers you've had in the past here. So 4 and 4, and I'm good. So 4, 4, 2, 2. We would now say that this equation is now balanced. It does not violate the law of conservation of mass. Whatever I start out with is what I end up with. The atoms are just rearranged in the compounds. Okay, so that's a little check you have to do at the end. And it really helps if you do this in order. Like if you're starting with sodium and oxygen, write it down, and write it down in the same order here. Because then it's easy to keep track. If I had written oxygen first and then sodium, it's sometimes difficult to see. Also, another little note you should make in all of these, leave oxygen until last. Just like I did here. You'll notice I purposely left the oxygen until the last because oxygen appears quite frequently with some of these, and it's somewhat difficult if you start with oxygen. So leave it till the end. Also, another thing to note there, leave hydrogen, until Second last. Leave it till the second last, because it sometimes appears quite frequently as well, and it's just easier if you can leave it till the second last and leave oxygen till the very last. So the rest of this page involves doing that. I've left you a lot of room there. Once again, you're only allowed to put numbers in front. And then continuing on, then the flip side here, then we get down to here. These last few questions are really good because you have to figure out what the formula is first, so it gives you practice of changing words into formulas and then balancing it. Then the very last one here, barium chloride plus magnesium sulfate yields barium sulfate, magnesium chloride. So again, change it to formulas and then balance it. Thanks for watching and good luck.